have a seat. And I've got Callum Stark and Michelle Fairley. Yes, that's the one thing I've not been told. You can go freestyle for that. I have Bran Stark. I have Isaac. Have a seat. There you go, very professional to the end. And I've got Brienne of Tarth, Gwendolyn Christie. I'm so lucky. Right, we're going to talk to the cast, and then we have got a bit of time at the end for some questions. Questions from the audience. We've got a roving mic. Who are my roving mics? Okay, thank you. We've only got limited time at the end, so I'm going to say questions, not comments. And I'm going to be really strict about that. And I'm also going to be strict about spoilers, because the people that are here tonight, we're all so passionate about it. So if you ask a question, please don't spoil it for everybody if you've read the books. And if that does happen, I've got some people from Sky Atlantic who are just going to take you somewhere awful and leave you there. I've not worked out where it is yet. And if that makes me sound slightly power mad like Cersei, good. Because she is a hero of mine. I'm going to start with you, Michelle.
Oh no, okay.
Talking of strong women, we find you very central to the action again in episode 1. You're not the kind of lady you're not the kind of lady who stays at home while the knights get on with the action. You know, this is a really incredible, ballsy, complex kind of role for an actress, isn't it?
Well, thanks to George, who wrote the novels, and then David and Dan and Brian, who do the scripts. You know, they believe in central to supporting the male characters. You have to have equally strong, if not stronger, women.
Yeah.
And the women, whether they're highborn or lowborn or, you know, working for Littlefinger, whatever, they constantly have to evolve, they have to change, and there's nothing stagnant about them. They're constantly, their antennas are always up as to how to keep alive. And if not how to keep alive, how to get your family back together again. Yeah. Like with Isaac and I playing his mother. The women are so central to this, because they may not seem like they're in the war, but actually they're powering the stuff behind it.
I'm sorry to get personal, but my theory is that you started all this.
No, I didn't.
I'm sorry, I don't want
No, George R.R. Martin started.
I don't want to blame anybody, because you've been very central to the action. Not you, obviously your character.
If only I had that power.
You've been very central to the action because you know you desperately wanted justice for what happened to Bran, and then again you let Jamie go. Do you believe in, as a person, as a viewer, do you believe that she's made the right decisions?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, totally. I mean, she's totally coming from a place of family. And she, you know, she's a woman who, that's what I said when, you know, the women, even though they may be highborn or lowborn, they're still evolving. She comes from an honourable family, and she believes that everybody comes from a good place. And she's now in the cusp of learning that people lie to you constantly, and in order for you to survive, you have to think like the liars do, basically. Yeah. So she's starting to think like a liar. And she believed Littlefinger, and to her detriment, she got, you know, she was sold on the Swanee, basically, and she humiliated her son in the process. So it's very much, she spends the beginning of season 3 in shackles on her own.
Does I always think that this role must take quite a lot out of you. I mean, that scene that we've just seen there, where you return to that castle and the whole, I mean, that scene of bloodshed, what was that day like to film?
It was great crack, actually. It was,
not corpses.
No, because it's sort of like, it's very, most of them, all the lovely supporting artists who were there, who were like this, hanging with blood dribbling down and things like that. in between takes, you're able to go and talk to them and say, do you want a tissue, or do you want a no? Do you know what I mean? And you can go and chat to them. And especially when you're doing scenes like that, you have to break the energy somewhere. You have to break the depression. And you go in and you have a laugh, and everybody, you know, that took a couple of days to shoot that scene. So by the end of it, we got to, you know, we knew everybody, and there's no hierarchy in the filming of Game of Thrones. So everybody mucks in, and everybody talks to everybody, and and you see the same people turning up all the time for supporting work as well. Different beards, but it's you know, so you get to know them. You get to know
your
favourite.
Well. Sorry to interrupt you there. What's been your favourite scene to film in, say, like the first 2 series?
Oh, the first 2. I loved it in episode 1 when we had all the family together and Sean was there, and we shot in a beautiful place down by a loch. And we had a lineup of all the Starks. Do you remember it, Isaac? And it was like a row of all the Starks, and the Lannisters came to visit and have a party. So I loved that day. It was brilliant fun, actually. Because it's the fun that you have off as well as when you're actually doing it.
It looks like an incredible good time.
It is, it's good crack.
It really does. I'm going to ask you a question, Isaac. Isaac, no pressure. But I think you're probably one of the most recognisable young men in the world right now. No pressure. How are you coping? I was going to say, can you be normal anymore? I was going to ask you a question. Can you still go for pizza?
Oh yeah. No, it's
Do you go to school?
Yeah. Still like a normal child, nothing.
So you're not carried around by someone?
No, I have
How
to
long
leave.
have you been carried around now? I know, I just wondered, but you know, you have become very, very famous. But do people recognise you now?
No, I've cut my hair really, and they don't recognise me that much. And so even when my hair's long, I do get recognised, but the show isn't quite as big here as it is in the States. So I do get recognised, but not like Justin Bieber.
Would you like to be recognised like Justin Bieber?
It would be nice.
This is a role that brings out quite a maternal side in women, I think, because I remember being incredibly upset, it's like so upset by Theon Greyjoy when he pretended to have the little lords toasted, that I went on Twitter and said that Theon Greyjoy is a very rude word that I can't repeat. and his real life sister, his sister's Lily Allen, got really angry at me. But do you because she said, do you not realise he's a nice person? I went, no, he's his character. Anyway, but do you find that quite odd that people are so invested in you and they care so much about you? Was it okay if I cuddled you?
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. I'm happy to be cuddled. No one's really sort of like come up to me and sort of like said, I want to be a mother kind of thing. So I haven't really experienced too much in the maternal side, but I am aware that quite a few people can feel with a lot of the characters can completely invest in them and sort of like to start with children. I can imagine a lot of people becoming very protective over them, and I think it's quite nice to have sort of a huge army of mothers.
Both your mothers are here, aren't they?
Yeah.
Do they get on?
Yeah.
You must have quite a odd relationship with the man who carries you around there on set. What's that like?
Oh no, we get on very well. Yeah, I mean, I'm always sort of.
What is it like? What's it like on an extended period of being carried around? Does it hurt? Do you get some...
Yeah, your legs sort of turn purple, which no.
I'm quite lazy. I quite enjoy it.
No, it's fabulous because you look at all the other actors sort of going on their back saying it's painful, and you're just sitting down and going hello. But this year Bran's in the cart rather than being held on the back, so that's a bit more comfy. I'm not
gonna let you say anything more about what's going on in this season. I was going to say, I get the feeling though that when I see you all together, I saw you all upstairs, there's a very strong bond between you all. It does look like a little family. But I was going to say, you're not going to be one of those people who tries to tell me that in real life Joffrey's actually quite nice.
He is the loveliest guy you could ever
No,
imagine. He's like he's a scholar at Dublin University. He's just, I think, literally the polar opposite to his character. You can't find two people more.
Is he nice?
Jack Gleeson is one of the loveliest.
Thank you.
No acting required, people.
I'm going to move on to you, Gwendolyn. This, to me, feels like a real breakthrough role for a woman, because this is a female knight, a born, trained, untrained killer. She's, you know, there's a very strong idea here that she's kind of working twice as hard to be taken half as seriously, isn't that? Which is something women in here might understand. I think a lot of... Do you remember that call from your agent when they rang you to say that this was coming up?
I rang them.
What did you say?
I was very aware that someone. I've talked about this relentlessly on the internet.
One more time.
Which no one's read, but someone told me there's something about you being involved in an HBO series, and of course, as a British theatre actor, I got very overexcited at that thought of being involved with HBO, and then I read the books and fell in love totally with this character that was doing everything that I've ever wanted to do as an actor. It was breaking gender stereotypes, and it was an incredibly strong woman, and it was a woman outside of the realms of what we consider to be attractive and strong, and all of those attributes that women have that are considered to be powerful, which are attributed by heterosexual men. And I immediately rang up my agent and said, I want to do this. And my agent said, what are you talking about? I've never ever put you up for this. As he read the breakdown, so love, she's ugly, she's got broken teeth, her nose is broken, and she's a devil with a sword. And so, of course, I wanted to do it because it was very far away from how I was at that time.
But when I watch you doing this role, and you are absolutely fantastic in it, but I always think this is a very exposing role. You know, you have scenes. For example, that scene with Jamie Lannister where he cuts right in and he says the most vile and hateful things about you, about how you look. And it's almost, as most women have heard from some horrible person at the pub at closing time at some point in their life. And that kind of really stuck with me. How do you cope when you're going out and you're doing those scenes?
Well, to be really sort of boringly frank, it was exactly what I was most scared of. You know, being a 6'3" woman, I've encountered that kind of abuse and those kind of things said to me since I was 14 years old. So having the opportunity to take that into a public forum through what I do, which is acting, through my art, I felt that it might actually challenge some notions of prejudice, and if it could change one person's mindset about the way they regarded people that are outside of conventional norms, then I might actually be justifying my existence as what I choose to be, an artist.
Yeah.
And so I was really proud to have the opportunity to do that.
I have seen you on the cover of Stylist. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
It's quite fine, isn't it?
It's quite... you're in a dress a bit like that. I've got to confirm you are in absolute fantastic shape. Now, can I just ask about the role? How do you train for that? I'm not going to do any of these things, I'm just going to say. But how do you train for it?
Well, about 3 months beforehand, I have to heave myself out of bed and work with a strength and conditioning expert, no carbohydrates, training 3 to 4, 5 times a week, protein 6 times a day, and it's resistance exercise for 45 to 55 minutes, very strictly. It's just so boring. I mean, it's really painful, it's laborious, I can't go boozing, it's really intense.
Yes, you can. Yeah, she does frequently.
Right. Once the work's done, Michelle, once the work's done. Once the nude scene, once the scenes are done. It's very intense, but you know, it's all in service of the part and therefore me, and so it's a privilege to do that.
And she looks amazing when she's like,
I
saw her in the summer and her legs were like
She saw my clothes
long
off,
and
yeah.
lean. I didn't see her.
Michelle regularly sees her clothes on. She doesn't really.
We share a trailer.
Moving on. Charles, you are... Hello.
Hello.
Charles, you are synonymous with these huge roles that exude power, and also for appearing in these epic dramas. But what do you think makes Game of Thrones like a different experience?
I think it starts with the quality of the writing, the amount of money that HBO is prepared to spend on it,
Yeah.
and dare I say, a pretty wonderful cast.
That was a fantastic speech that you gave there when you were tearing a strip off your son. How was that to film?
Well, I spend most of my time with Peter Dinklage, who is the most adorable man and a wonderful actor. And after all of those scenes, I apologise to Peter because I treat him like shit. I mean, I say the most terrible things to him. That's just a kind of little snippet of the awfulness that I say to him. But David and Dan are just really wonderful writers. I mean, they're phenomenal scripts, aren't they? And, you know, we spend a lot of time as actors, not in this series, trying to make a silk purse out of a pig's ear, because not all scripts are this good. But when you have writing of this quality, then you can put all your energy into hopefully making the character believable. And just thinking about that rather than trying to think, how can I make this bloody awful line work? Because they give us really terrific lines to speak.
I was going to ask you, and this is maybe for purely selfish reasons, because I just love these scenes that you have with Arya in the second season.
Yes.
Where they're just fantastic. There's just this beautiful dynamic between these two people that really, really shouldn't get on, but have found a common ground, and
Yes.
I enjoy that. Could you tell me just a little bit about that?
Well, Maisie, I think she's 14 now, isn't she? Well, she was
16.
13. She's 16, oh my God. Well, she was just over 13 when we shot those scenes. And I've never worked with anybody with such a knowledge of the medium, such an ability to just concentrate for a very long time and focus on the work, and an awareness of herself. She knows all the little things like not moving muscles in her face and just letting her eyes do the work, and she knows the difference between a 35mm lens and a 100mm lens. She's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And if anybody's going to make it in this business, she is, along with Isaac.
I'm going to go to questions after this next one, so if we can kind of get one ready, that would be fantastic. I was going to say, look, so I was asking you about these very complex and thoughtful scenes, which I love. There's quite a lot of sex going on.
I got a
Game
no
of
nudity
Thrones.
clause, so I'm playing.
Say that again.
I got a no nudity clause, so
Did
I get to
you?
keep all my clothes on. They put it in, I didn't go. Absolutely. When I went to get the contract, it was like no nudity required. And I was like, I was actually really relieved when I saw the first season.
Yeah, because they are very graphic scenes. It's a kind of, you do have to be quite careful who you watch Game of Thrones with. You can't kind of just stick it on with the ground. I was going to say, but Charles, you haven't had any sex yet. Are you quite put out by this?
Am I quite what?
Put out? Dismayed?
Yes.
I'm not going to ask anything else because I was going to ask. No, it was quite rude. But what I'm going to do, I was going to say, who amongst the cast would you set your sights on? That seemed happening. And then I thought, no, we're in a public place, and I'm going to go to roving questions. Who has got a question? And I'm going to say that we've got a very short amount of time, so let's get on with it. And I don't believe that you're shy at all. You're Game of Thrones fans.
Hello.
Hello.
If you weren't the characters that you play, who would you like to be, and with no gender specific?
If you weren't the characters you were in the series, whose roles would you like?
Oh, I'd like to play Tyrion because he gets lots of sex and my character gets
Gwen?
Oh, Cersei for the frocks. Defo. And those cheekbones,
Amazing.
aren't they?
Best lines.
I think the part comes with the cheekbones, so I'd like that, yeah.
That line, power is power. Amazing. Charles?
Well, I want to play Tyrion's part really because, I mean, it's just the most wonderful part. It's absolutely fantastic.
And quickly?
Hodor.
Who?
Hodor.
Hodor. Another question.
Personally, who do you think deserves the throne?
Ooh.
What was that?
Personally, who do you think deserves the throne?
Who do you think deserves it?
Well, I mean, I'm developing a theme that Daenerys, because of, again, the frocks. I mean, sort of, really good dresses and some dragons.
Okay.
Well, I actually think my son deserves the throne. Thank you. So, yeah.
I do.
Come on.
I think Bran's pretty secret too. He has to sit down as it is.
Can we have another question, please? There's somebody right at the back waving frantically. Maybe just want the loo. Hello.
Hi, thank you. I know you can't actually see me because I'm short as well. So the Game of Thrones, I'll stand up. Hi. So the Game of Thrones has some wonderful cast and some wonderful costumes and props. Just out of curiosity, what's the best thing you've stolen off the set?
That's a good question. Have you stolen anything? How do you think I'm going to admit that you've stolen anything off the set? You will? I like the way you're giggling right away. Have you stolen anything?
Only one day I stole Finn Jones. When he plays Solaris, I stole him onto a speedboat around Croatia.
That's a great answer.
No, I'm not joking, it was a really good steal.
Did you just take him away for some exercise and training?
I exercised him thoroughly.
Okay, so has anyone got another question? No more questions for her. No, has anybody got another question? Oh, hello.
Charles, can you please say hear me roar?
Say that again?
Can you please say hear me roar?
I can't. What is it?
He wants you to read his aura. And he wants you to say hear me roar.
Are you willing to say that?
Hear me roar.
Hear me roar? Maybe
Hear
yeah.
me roar.
Another question, thank you. Hello.
We're used to seeing epic series come from HBO, often starring American casts. How does it make you feel that the Game of Thrones is primarily a British cast, and why do you think that decision was taken?
Why do you think there's so many Brits in Game of Thrones?
Don't look at me, not me again. Not me first again.
We're cheap.
I think that's a great answer.
Put them right next to
Cheaper.
Anybody, should I move on?
I don't honestly know the answer to that, actually.
Yeah.
I think it was a mixture of reasons, really, apart from being cheap. Actually, what's lovely is that there are so many different accents in there as well. It's, you know, you've got Scottish, English, Irish, you've got German, Nordic, you've got, God help me out here, who else? Spanish, it's wonderful.
Yeah. Have we got time for more. One more. Go on. Maybe 2 more.
With so many dynamic characters, which a lot of viewers can relate to, what message would you want them to take away from the show, like from either your character or any other characters in general?
Oh, I think it's a really interesting, it's a bit boring for me, but I think it's a really interesting, Game of Thrones is a really interesting insight into lots of different facets of the human psyche. It's very defined in that there's lots of very definite archetypes, and there's a real window into the way someone's mind is operating, who is fixated with their will. Help me.
Okay.
You got yourself into it.
I don't know, I think it depends on your character really in terms of what you want to give up, you know. I mean, what I feel as Gatlin Stark is very different to what Isaac would feel, or Maisie, or George, or Gwen. So I think for my character, it's very much keep surviving until you achieve what you need to achieve. And then you can see what happens from there. And it's very much a case of keep evolving as well.
Charles, what lesson?
Was the question what we take away from it, or
No,
what the
it
audience
was what
takes
you
away
would
from?
hope that the audience would take away from the show or from your character.
Yeah, well, I mean, although it's a mythical land that we're in, it's more or less medieval, and I would hope that the audience can feel that we have learned a lot since then.
Okay. Can I have another question?
Game of Thrones tend to go to. What would be your favourite if you could go to it, or what was your favourite?
Favourite what, darling?
Location?
Favourite location? Well, unlike most of these people, I mean, I just get Belfast.
So do I. So do I. No, and I love it.
No, I did have one day in Croatia, which I quite like, but my character is based in and around Belfast. I actually quite like Belfast. Terrific energy there, but I wave to people as they go away to Morocco and to Malta and so on.
Where do you both film?
Pardon?
Where do you film? Where are your locations that you go to?
All my stuff is like Charles, it's in the north, and in studio in Belfast as well.
Okay. And you're in Croatia? You're all in Belfast?
Yeah.
Are you in Belfast?
Yeah, I'm in Belfast.
Although I
spent
did
a lot of
have
time
one
in
day
Belfast.
in Croatia on a speedboat with Big Shirt. Blazing across my mind.
What happened on that boat, Gwen?
Were you driving the speedboat?
Yeah,
That is so cool.
yeah, just with a foot.
Would anybody like to ask a question? And it's not allowed to be about the speedboat. Yes, that lady over there. I'm sorry, I'm kind of letting you rope in my people slightly
That's
choose
okay.
because I
Hello.
can't see anybody.
I'm right in the back, so behind the pillar.
Oh, it's that person there. Sorry.
Right.
Hello. I'm not getting that question type job anytime soon.
Hi, it's kind of 2 questions to do with romance. One, has any romance blossomed amongst members of the cast? And 2, which characters would you like to see get together with each other?
And this is going to have to be a quick question about romance. Have romances blossomed between any of the cast?
Not to my knowledge.
Well, there was that day on the speedboat.
Are there any members of the cast? And I'm going to actually say the cast members. Who would you like? No, I'm going to say their characters. Are there any characters that you would like to get together?
Catelyn Stark and Brienne of Tarth.
We did.
This has been quite a Q&A. Isaac, are there any members of the cast that you would like to see get together? And I mean their characters. Who would you like to get together with?
Who would I like to get together with? Probably Daenerys, purely for the dragons.
It's not just for the dragons, though. Being completely honest.
Just for the dragons.
And I'll leave the last word with you.
I'd like to see Maisie and Isaac get together.
I don't know where that throws me.
That's incest.
I hope you didn't find that too embarrassing. I'm going to wind up the questions now. I have got a small